Let's talk about the budget constraints. More specifically, the financial pressures and economic prioritization. I think I pronounced that wrong, but the priority of economics and the financial pressure putting on these spring games. Now, I want to take you into two separate things. All right. Let's take a program like Georgia, okay, on the mountaintop in the SEC. That's a program that gains millions and millions and millions of views, millions and millions and millions of dollars in revenue, and the fans show up, right? That's a no-brainer. It's even with Nebraska. Let's take Nebraska, for example, Lincoln. That town loves their football, absolutely loves it. And the city revolves around it. And that's my point, right? When you've got a team saying, well, we want to keep money in the budget, that's not an excuse for a team like Texas or Nebraska or Georgia to come out and say, oh, well, we're on a budget. We want to stick to it financially. I'm sorry, that's BS, and you know it. Here's the sad reality. Then you've got programs like South Alabama, okay? You've got programs like UTSA, okay? You got teams like Boise State. Boise might have a little bit more money. That's probably a bad example, but you get the point. You got some of these smaller Georgia Southerns, the FAUs, schools like that. And FAU is not the great example. I try to think about small town vibes, but take South Alabama and Georgia Southern, for example. These are two towns that love their football program, and they revolve around it. When football's not there, there's no one there. And, I can understand South Alabama and UTSA and Georgia Southern saying, you know what? We don't get as much money as the Georgias, as the Texas, as the Ohio States. We're going to hold off on the spring game. We're going to spend that money elsewhere. But when you look at a school like Georgia, when you look at a school like Nebraska, they're not hurting for money. And I think that's a very slippery slope to go down, because you're talking about the potential loss of millions and millions of dollars coming in to these cities on a football weekend. And for a lot of these businesses, they thrive on college football traffic. It brings in hundreds of thousands of people, because if you're not at the games, guess what? You're at the bars, you're at the restaurants, you're tailgating, some capacity, some way, you're involved in that small town. And it's a shame that a lot of these schools are canceling spring games. We're going to talk about the teams that are canceling spring games. We're also going to talk about my thoughts at the end. So with that being said, I want to turn it over to y'all. Here's some final questions for you guys. Number one, what do you think about the cancellation of spring games in the light of these challenges? I invite you guys to follow us on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Break the Huddle. You can also email us at breakthehuddlepodcast@gmail.com. We want to hear from you guys. We love fan engagement. We're nothing without you guys. We want to thank you for the support over the last year and a half, 2 years. We're up to 302 subscribers. We're trying to get to 1,000 by the end of this year. Let us know down in the comments what you think about the future of college football regarding spring games and preseason. We'll see you next week. It's time to break the huddle.